Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Benny and friends. I'm Jen Adelia with NIM 21070. Here I will explain the meaning of inverse, the nature of inverse property, and the characteristic of functions that have inverse and do not have inverse. Okay, uh, an inverse function is a function that acts as the inverse of another function, or it can be called an inverse function, which is a cancellation of the original function. Atau bisa disebut bahwa fungsi inverse adalah fungsi yang bertindak sebagai kebalikan dari fungsi lainnya. Kemudian di sini juga ada sifat-sifat dari fungsi. Yang pertama ada inverse operation. The inverse function performs an operation that is the opposite of the original function. For example, if the original function performs addition, its inverse will perform subtraction. And next, composition property. If we combine a function with its inverse in a certain order, we will get the same result as the initial input value. And the next, inverse mapping. The inverse function swaps the input and output values of the original function. This means that if we have coordinate x, y in the graph of the original function, then coordinate y, x will be found in the graph of the inverse function. Di sini juga ada ciri-ciri dari fungsi yang memiliki inverse. Yang pertama itu ada one-to-one or injective. Each of output value y is mapped by only one input value x. In other words, no two inputs product the same output. Next, close or surjective. Each other value y has at least one output value x that maps to it. In other words, no output value is missing or unattainable. Next, bijective. Function which are both injective and surjective together are called as bijective function. This is the main requirement for a function to have an inverse. And the last one, reversible function and its inverse can flip each other. For example, if we apply a function to a value and then apply its inverse to the result, we will get the initial value back. Dan di sini juga ada ciri-ciri dari fungsi yang tidak memiliki inverse. Yang pertama ada not one-to-one or non-injective. There is at least one pair of the inputs that product the same output. This makes it impossible for the function to have an inverse. And unclosed or unsurjective, there is a less one output value that the function cannot achieve. In other words, there are values that do not have a pre-image or reverse prior in the domain of the function. The next, periodic function. Periodic functions such as sinus and cosinus do not have a single inverse because they repeat periodically. And the last one, irreversible functions. There are a function that are not reversible, meaning that if we try to reverse the output value to the initial output value, we will not get the same value. And here I make the function that I will inverse. Function is 2, 3. Yes. 2, 3. Then we will inverse. We inverse using reflection on the line y equal x. This is line y equal x. Now, so that we get the result 3, 2. Yes. That's all the presentation for me. More or less, I apologize. Thank you.